here. I always posted formal presentations by people, myself included. Now I just want to do some commentary. It's going to be informal, not polished, but hopefully truthful and from the heart. Um, Today's hearings on the January 6th insurrection, so-called. It wasn't an insurrection. They had no firearms. There was no plan to take over the government. Uh, the big sham is that there was intelligence that there was going to be a lot of trouble, and the Capitol Police asked for help, and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer didn't deliver it. And now Nancy wants to cover it up by picking out her own people from the Republican Party who would be on the investigative committee. So now they had people today, the cops testifying. One guy with one Capitol Police was saying that it's so disgraceful that Republicans are downplaying it. Well, what's disgraceful is that there wasn't security. That is the most important thing. Whenever you have a big event, you have to have security. And the only reason they didn't have it is because the narrative of the Democrats was that having a big show of force from law enforcement was not cool. That's not friendly to the people, because it had to be in conjunction with how they dealt with the riots of 2020. And by the way, where were the hearings on the riots and the looting, the arson, and the 24 fatalities that came from from all that mayhem from the summer of 2020? I don't remember seeing any hearings on that. So then you had another Capitol Police saying that he's not political, but when the hooligans, which is what I would call them, with the violence and the storming of the Capitol, said that Trump asked them to be there, and Trump is the real president. So, and they said to him, nobody voted for Biden. Well, so this African American policeman, the Capitol Police, said, well, I did. I voted for Biden. And then they called him the N-word, which is disgusting, stupid. But why inject yourself? Why is a cop supposed to inject himself into the political arena there? The answer is he's not. And he knew better. Of course they're not supposed to call him the N-word, and they're not supposed to be violent, but we know that there are hooligans. We know that they're criminals. And they let all the criminals from the riots of the previous summer go. So now all of a sudden, criminals somehow represent a whole political party. 100 or not even 100. Whoever the violent ones were, and so far most of them were brought up on charges of trespass or whatever. The violent people, and we know there's violent people all over the place. So, I mean, from whatever party or belief or whatever. So, how that becomes a political thing that the policeman says that he did, that they yelled at him N-word and how he wasn't supposed to vote for Biden. Of course, that's craziness. That whole thing shouldn't have started. And to the basic point of trotting out these police is to show how horrible these people were. So they were criminals. Call them criminals, not insurrectionists. They're not insurrectionists. And there were plenty criminals from the riots. Let's bring them to Congress. Let them testify. Okay, so today's hearings about January 6th was a complete sham. There was no basis for it. Just go through with the proceedings of convicting those of crimes. Crime is not a new thing, and it shouldn't be treated as a political thing. It was not a political revolution of any sort. It was. By the way, storming an official building is not new. They did it all the time, in the 60s, or taking over dean's offices and colleges. The difference here was that the level of violence, even though there were no firearms, yes, it was brutal. The way they fought with the cops with poles, with different things, with mace, with spray. No justification for it, but there were no firearms, and that's what it was. It was a storming. It was a violent breach of the Capitol, and it doesn't represent a movement of any kind, of any political party. Okay, so that's all I want to say about that. And on a lighter note, I watched The Bachelor, and there were two things I wanted to point out. One, there was a guy, Andrew, who was supposed to be such a special person to the Bachelorette, and they were crying when she rejected him, and then he made his surprise come back to her, and she was so happy to see him, and he left her a note. Well, if you change your mind, call me. I'm waiting. Okay, that's great. But then when she offered him the choice, well, do you want to stay longer? Do you want to be in the competition longer? Then guess what? He says, no, this place is too hurtful for me. So that shows a lack of sacrifice, a lack of loyalty, a lack of dedication. If you really think that this woman is for you, you go in there and you stay there, even though it may hurt again. You may be humiliated again, but yeah, you got to be there for the fight. And that to me was cowardice, and really. So in today's culture, it's not. People don't do real things with real courage. I'm not saying everyone. Of course, there's still a military and still very dedicated police and dedicated people all over the place. But I'm just saying there's a fakeness about this culture that you would hold up this guy that, oh, he's such a great prospect when he is not willing to go through the fight of more competition. And the other comment I want to make about The Bachelor is there was this guy Michael, and he was also a very big prospect to the lady, and he bowed out because his young son of 8 or 9, whatever he was, said that he wants him back home. Well, there's got to be a balance here. There are cads who abandon their kids and don't want to know about their families. And then there are other people who let their kids dictate their life, the parents' life. And that's also wrong. And I'm not a parent, but I have a right to speak, just like everybody else has a right to speak about things that they're not a part of directly. So, to me, it was a wimpy, yes, weak of somebody who is looking for happiness. This is the happiness that he needs for himself. He's looking to get married again. And for his son to say, come home, no, you're crazy for staying out. No, that's not the way you let a kid dictate your life. You say to the kid, I love you, I will be back, but I have to do something to find out if I can be with this woman, and she will be, if it's right for me, she'll be right for you, she'll be a mother to you. His other wife had died. It wasn't even a divorce. She died. So he needed a new wife and mother for his child. So, and even the body language, the way he spoke, this guy Michael, it was just pathetic. And you know, look, I have a whole thing about how we have lost our bearings. Society has lost religion, and religion, people have a lot of issues with it, uh, animal sacrifice or whatever, or people, how slavery in the Bible, whatever you want to say, but it instilled principles in society. And now, after the 60s, we threw it all out, and now we don't have bearings. We don't have our moral bearings, and we don't know how to navigate through life. That's why society's all crazy. 90,000 opioid overdoses, and all these violent shootings, these mass shootings. People grow up and they're totally lost, and they take out their rage on society. Whoever heard of this stuff? People make fun of the 50s. Who, besides that guy on the tower over there, I forget where he was, in Texas. That's right. Whoever heard of all these mass shootings that we have? Children, teenagers, even younger, come into school with all these weapons, and now with crazy crime. I mean, we went through all that, and now we're going through it again. We can't fight our way out of a paper bag. We can't figure out how to contain crime, because you don't want to punish a guy if he stole something under $950. Well, yeah, you do, because otherwise you have chaos. You have 17 Walgreens that went out of business in San Francisco, and their brazen shoplifting sprees in different places, in liberal areas. So you know. I mean, as far as my theme about the 50s being more stable, yes, we had blind spots about women's rights and same-sex marriages. I mean, uh, you know, yeah. I mean, LGBTQ, right? It's hard for me to say it, but all those things, people deserve their rights, absolutely. But minority rights, sure. But we had a moral structure. And by the way, I even saw a documentary where an African American scholar said that in the time of segregation, uh, blacks were happier than a lot of blacks are now, because now everything is compared to. I mean, now everything is a fight about nothing, and just looking to make a fight. And then people were very made use of their life, and actually produced a lot. I mean, yeah, it's like the Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. What they did was unbelievable, and there's a lot to say about just you know this whole idea of soft bigotry, of low expectations. When you allow people to just be, of course, you have to give them opportunity. But when you make all these fake issues, um, that white people are out to get black people and all this stuff, you create all this enmity, all this artificial hate, and you instill the idea in minorities that they're being held back, and that they're not supposed to excel because they can't, because they're being held back. Okay. In any case, I hope to continue giving commentary on a regular basis. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.